Welcome to the history. Welcome to the culture. Welcome to community that dreams and achieve. Living in change for better tomorrow. Welcome to the Eunice Malath Show.
Hello, welcome to the Eunice Malath Show. I am your host, Eunice Malath. Thank you for tuning in to the program tonight. We have with us here a wonderful guest. Her name is Felicia Webster, also known as With Love Felicia. She's a prominent community activist from Omaha. She's a motivational poet, a community organizer, host, and teacher at the Nebraska Arts Council. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. I've really looked forward to meeting you and actually talking to you.
Well, I feel really blessed to be here today, so I appreciate you reaching out and waiting until I was available.
I know, right? You're so busy. You know, everybody's seeking to meet Felicia, to be a part of your life and stuff, you know.
Oh.
So thank you for making space for us. Now, let's start with your childhood. Where did you grow up and, you know, where were you raised?
I was actually raised here in Omaha, Nebraska. And I stayed here until I went to college for my first year, which I ended up in Waverly, Iowa, which is a really small town in Iowa with about a population of 1,500 people. I remember being there, and there may have been like 3 or 4 families that were diverse. And I think there were a population of 8 to 15 people of color on campus. That was a bit challenging for me. I mean, Omaha's not that big, but I did grow up in more of a diverse situation and community. So that didn't pan out very well for me. And then I ended up moving back to Omaha and finally ending up in New York City and Philadelphia to go to Temple University for my bachelor's degree.
Oh, excellent. That's great to hear. Now, you mentioned that you grew up here in Omaha. Where did you go to school?
I went to school at Mount View Elementary School. And then when King Science Center first opened, I was chosen to be one of the fortunate students to attend there. So I went there and then went to junior high at Nathan Hale and graduated from Central High School. Oh,
very nice, very nice. Now, I know that from a young age, spoken word has been such an integral part of your life.
Yes.
Where did the fascination with words stem from?
You know, I must say I'm thankful that my parents read to all of me, I mean, to me and my siblings, but I really became very fascinated with them by the time I was in the 4th grade. My teacher, Mrs. Scott Brown, who was my first African-American teacher, she was the first teacher of color I'd ever had, would read books every single day after recess. And she like brought these books to life. And so there was this like world you could go into by listening to her read, and it just made me a lover of words. It just made me fascinated with the idea of bringing words together to tell stories.
Because she made it seem possible.
She did.
Anything.
Yeah, she did.
And stuff, you know?
Anything, anything.
So beforehand, it was not people of color teaching you, but then when you met her, she sort of like added a new dynamic to your life.
She did. She really did.
Once she changed your life, what did you start doing with words?
I think one of the first things I did was I wrote a play in the 4th grade about leprechauns. I don't know why I wrote this play about leprechauns, but I did. I wrote a play about leprechauns. I remember doing that, and you know, at that time I didn't have a computer, so I hand wrote everything out.
What was the storyline?
I don't remember. I just know it was about leprechauns. Maybe it was like a sense of being lucky, you know? Who knows? Like, I just know it was about that topic. Yeah.
Wow. And then from there, what did you progress to?
By the time I hit middle school, junior high as we called it then, but middle school, I still enjoyed words, and I loved the facets of the arts. So I made sure that I was in creative writing, that I was in drama, and I had this amazing counselor at Nathan Hale. Her name is Shirley Terrell. And she just would take the group of young people that she had and just, again, lift our worlds up. And she was another African American woman who like touched my heart. She knew that I enjoyed writing. By that time, hip hop had come on the scene, the culture, and I loved the idea of rhythmic words coming together to create rap music. And so she would call me from my class and have me come rap the announcements on yeah. So I would rap the announcements on an intercom, yes.
Oh, wow.
And I had a little crew, and they would repeat after what I said, and it just was fabulous. So
can you give us a sample?
No, I don't know. It might have been like, today we're having chicken nuggets and macaroni and peas.
What?
Come and get in line and say please. You know, it wasn't anything. And so yeah, they would be like, hey, oh, you know. So she also encouraged me to write poetry because, of course, rap music is nothing more than poetry.
Yeah.
A good storyteller is a poet who then adds rhythm, beat, cadence, a hook. And so from that point, I started writing poetry. And that piece that I shared, you know, is about the same time as I was introduced to her. And so she had encouraged me to write, and I wrote that particular piece, which ended up being a competition piece for the AXO Awards through the NAACP, where African American students get to compete based on their gift. And so that particular poem allowed me to go compete in California in a national, from Omaha. So it was really cool. It was, who knew that words were going to take me so far?
And how old were you at the time?
I think I was 14. It was
14
about
years
14.
old.
Yeah, 14
My
years
goodness,
old.
such great talent from such a young age, you know?
Yeah.
And when you go to spoken word, how is it infused in African American history?
Well, spoken word poetry comes out of the African and African American oral tradition of storytelling. So it's the way that we take a story and bring it to life. We breathe words and give them energy and passion and drama sometimes. And so all of that is infused in the culture of just telling a good story, but giving it a little bit more soul and rhythm, you know? I was born Felicia Maria Webster, the oldest of 3. And let me tell you, being the oldest wasn't always so easy because you had to stand up for your brother and sister, no matter what was going on. See, I felt like there was so much pressure for me to do the best, to be the best, to always show and prove that I could not make a mistake. But mistakes, they happen. But when you're the oldest, it seems like mistakes carry a stigma with you for the rest of your life that you are constantly trying to make up. But I found a way. I found a way through the way I could speak and use words. I found a way that I could use my voice to change my life. And I did.
Now, when you entered adulthood, how were you able to use the spoken word to sort of, enable you to grow? Because, once you were a kid, you wrote about leprechauns. Yeah. And then when you became, a teenager, you got into beatboxing and rapping. Yeah. Now, as a young adult, how do you utilize that?
I still utilize the same things I did when I was a young person. It still is a part of performance pieces that I do. So I will beatbox, or I will sing, or I will add drama and acting. So all of those different milestones they still live in me. So as an adult, I now use issues that can change communities and people in such a way that they feel good enough about themselves, that they feel worthy, that they feel like they can do whatever it is that they feel desired, because it's the passion that lives inside of them. And I believe once we tap into that passion, which is a spiritual space inside of us, we can do anything. And so I feel really blessed to be able to take words and charge people to do what it is that they feel like they want to do in the world, whether it's go after the dream job or create your own business, or it could be healing from a hurt in the past, because spoken word, being able to breathe life into words that tell a story of maybe some pain in your life becomes healing, because then we get it out of this space and we throw it out there, so we don't have to hold on to it anymore.
Now, when you talk about pain, I would greatly appreciate it if you could share with us, the viewers, a tough situation that you went through and how you were able to overcome it. Because when I first met you, the vibe I got from you was care, love. I felt so comfortable around you. It was just amazing. And the history and the situation you've been through is so tough that there are many people who are unable to overcome it. Please share with our audience what you went through.
Well, I've had a couple experiences in my life that have caused pain. I can share two of them right now. One happened at the age of 21. I was on a date and we were hanging out, having a good time, and we wanted to be intimate. I knew we wanted to be intimate. I wanted to be intimate. He wanted to be intimate. We were clear about that. So that was already on the table. And one night, in the process of wanting to be intimate and share in this exchange with one another, my body went numb. And I remember saying to the young man in my life, as we were both in our early 20s, you know, like, hey, I don't think we should do this because I can't feel anything. And things shifted. What I thought was a beautiful and wonderful date ended up being a rape. And, you know, it baffled me. And it baffled me a long time because I didn't understand how I made an agreement to be intimate, but I was raped anyway. And so that changed my life forever. It actually took me 10 years after that to go into counseling because I was with a former boyfriend and we were trying to express ourselves, and I was triggered. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like something happened, something we did, you know, in the process of us kissing and hugging brought back a flashback for me. And I was like, you know, I need to go get help. And so I chose to go to counseling, rape counseling, around that experience that I hadn't done before. I do think when one is raped, or me, a woman, I can speak in this behalf because I am a woman, you know, as a woman being raped, you go into a place of shame. You know, how did this happen? What did I do? Did I lead him astray? What were the signals? Did I have on the wrong thing? But at the end of the day, power and control is power and control. All those other things don't matter, you know. Yes. And I had to go through counseling to find that out and not blame myself for that particular experience, you know. No.
And when it happened, I heard you speak before about how you went to the shower and tried to wash it all off.
Oh, yeah.
Try to wash the experience off.
Yeah, I did.
But it's already internalized.
It is.
No matter how much you try to wipe it away, you can still feel it like it's happening over and over again.
Yeah, you can.
And then your view of men also changes, you know?
It did. But I will say I was really blessed to have good men around that were in my life who did not believe in such actions that men would take to take advantage of a woman, and they were really a blessing for me. So it didn't mess up my viewpoint forever around men. I was able to look at and say, you know, this particular man had an issue. This particular man was sick. This particular man took advantage of an innocent situation. This man raped me. This man took advantage of our time together in a way that was not, you know, it's emotional. So he took advantage of someone who wanted to connect with him in that way, but not the way that he chose, you know. So, yeah, that particular experience, I don't hold on to it like in this, I mean, you're making me bring it up, so I'm having this moment where I'm having to think about it, but I don't live as a person who is like, I was a victim, or now I'm a survivor, but I do say that experience charged me to do some of the work that I do today for women, that I make sure that I am sharing with young women and women my own age and older that, you know, you don't have to be stuck in your past. You had that experience, and what can you do about it? Do you need to get counseling? You know, do you need to take some time out and heal yourself? Do you need to go to the doctors? Like, so whatever that is, that experience allowed me to do the work that I am doing today with women. So
yeah, I know, especially in the African or African American community, things relating to molestation, rape, it's hard for us to speak about it, you know, and even share it with family, because there's such a great shame. We don't sometimes have those resources where we can go to counselors and stuff, you know. Or
we're taught, you know, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Exactly.
You know, so you don't say anything.
Don't bring shame to the family.
Yeah, you don't. And so, but by doing that though, we suppress hurt and pain that never gets healed. And so then we have people who grow up hurt, and then they end up hurting other people, and then the cycle just continues.
And you were able to put a stop to that.
Yeah, definitely.
You took a stand.
Absolutely. You know, from that particular experience, I also wrote a play about the cycle of abuse, because I had also been in that particular situation. I always thought it was, you know, you had to get hit upside your head, and that meant that you were being abused. But no, you know, it can be verbal and emotional and spiritual and financial, and of course sexual as well. And so now there's a play called With Love, Felicia, that has taken the testimonies of myself and other women that I went through the healing process with, and used spoken word poetry along with acting and singing to bring it to life, to show it in such a way that, because sometimes it's hard to talk about it like this with people, so to use it in a way to use entertainment and education simultaneously to give a message.
Exactly. Yeah. And what was the second experience that you went through that was, you know, difficult?
Oh, I went through some domestic violence, and as I just mentioned, how I thought domestic violence was around, you know, being beat up and having bruises on your face and just, you know, those kind of things. And I found out it was something totally different. And after going to counseling, I tell you, I went to counseling. You know, I say this with love, like I have some wonderful friends who believed in counseling. Girl, you need to go to counseling. I was like, you know, counseling, yes, you know, because they had gone to counseling, and so they found counseling to be powerful. So after going to counseling, yes, it empowered me in such a way and changed my life, so that it took the shame off of me. Because what did I, you know, I didn't do anything wrong, but I got into a situation that I didn't recognize these red flags and got caught in a cycle, you know, the cycle of the honeymoon stage, which is just so friggin' amazing. And then you do something, then you're walking on eggshells, and then there's this explosion where it's either cursing, or it's belittling, or it's taking money, or it's, you know, being hit, or it's you can't visit your family, and it's isolation, to oh, la 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 la, you know, It's beautiful. I love you
wonderful.
again. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. I can't live without you. That kind of thing. And that's a cycle that once I went through counseling changed my life. Yeah.
And now you come from a place of love whenever you speak to anybody. Maybe a stranger or somebody that, you know. I mean, if you meet Felicia, I'm not just saying this because I know her. I'm just saying that if you meet her, the vibe that you'll get from her is just amazing. You'll feel comfortable. You'll feel confident because she's the kind of role model. She's not only my role model, but she's a role model for a lot of people. You'll gain a level of confidence. You'll sense that whatever you want to achieve is possible because of her energy. You know, not many people have that positive energy that she transmits. Now, let's go back to...
I'm so blessed and honored, everybody.
I'm
My
speaking the
goodness.
truth.
Well, let's be clear now. I want people to think like I'm walking around here like Mother Teresa and I'm a saint.
No.
I got my issues and stuff too that come up. I get an attitude sometimes.
Yeah, all of us are imperfect in our ways, you know. But we always have to talk about the positive aspects of somebody's character because the world often wants to tell us how weak we are, you know, how not good enough we are, you know. So we need to lift each other up.
I agree. I definitely.
That's the way to make the world a better place, you know.
I co-sign that.
That's wonderful, you know. Now, you were part of the dynamic duo called Daughters of Diaspora.
Yes.
And you shared the stage with people like Jill Scott and Sonja Sanchez, as well as, you know, other Def Jam artists and stuff. Can you take us briefly to that part of your life?
Well, this is what I'll say. I had an opportunity to share the same stage because at the time when I lived in Philadelphia, no one was famous.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like going to a speakeasy or an open mic and you shared. And so we're all in the same space and we're just kind of doing our thing. Daughters of the Diaspora was a group that I was a part of with my really wonderful friend, Natanya Davine Stewart. And our group focused on social justice, taking issues that were affecting the society, social ills, and really like saying, you know, what's going on? And then we would create these really elaborate, I want to thank her, I have to thank her for this, because we created elaborate pieces that hit home and called folks out, called systems out, called for change, and that stayed with me forever. So while we were doing that, and the group always, it changed. Sometimes it was 2 of us, sometimes it was 4, but we would be in these spaces. And so we were in the same space with Jill Scott. I remember like the night that she actually performed and she sung, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, you know, like, she can sing. But at that time she was just doing poetry. So this time she was moved by her grandmother and she sang this amazing song and everybody was in awe. And we were like, oh my gosh, girl, you need to be singing kind of thing, you know? And Sonja Sanchez taught at Temple University, the school I went to. And so it was always a blessing to, you know, go to events where she was being, you know, she was the speaker, or one of the last things that I was able to do was we honored her and a lady by the name of Mama Charlotte, because they were the women who we stood on their shoulders to do the work that we were doing in the world. And so I did that right before I believe I left Philadelphia. And so that was just, it was just awesome to kind of be in the realm of that happening.
That's pretty cool. Now, you mentioned that you went to Temple University. What did you study there, and did you go further in school?
Yes, I got a degree in education. I specialized in, no, I take that back. I got a degree in education.
A bachelor's degree.
Bachelor's degree in education. Thank you. My mind is like, what did I focus on? No, you didn't focus on anything. You just wanted to get out. So I got a degree in education, which the focus was elementary. And then I did go on and get my master's a little bit later in life, not too long ago, actually. And I got a master's in early childhood education.
Oh, very good, Vicar. Now, you're the co-director, actually, you're the co-creator, director, and also the co-host of the Verbal Gumbo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, that is a space space that I share with my wonderful sister, Michelle Troxler. She's my soul sister in this lifetime. And basically what Verbal Gumbo is a platform that was created for spoken word artists, storytellers, page poets, MCs to come and share their words in a community that embraced them with love. So no matter if you were a beginning poet or person sharing on the mic or someone who was advanced and doing this as a living, there is love in this space. We honor community, so there's an opportunity to share what you have going on in the community with other people so that they can come and support you. And matter of fact, we just had one last night, and we had a singer who came in town from LA, Kevin Sandblum, who sang last night, some incredible soul music that he had written. Ben Jones, a social justice artist who did shared a series of founding mothers. We had a massage therapist there. It was just kind of an incredible. Yeah, it is. You know? We just honor the facets of arts, but definitely the spoken word.
Now, what day is it and what time? So if people are interested, they could come to it.
It is the third Thursday of every month at the House of Loom, which is off of 10th and Pacific. Okay. We say the doors open at 7, but we're artists. Like, come on, you know, if you get there at 7, you're going to be lingering. So grab yourself a good seat, grab yourself something to drink. We always have food and amazing vendors who often.
Actually, I've been there too and stuff. And I remember I had a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
The women, my goodness, they're so courageous. And the way they speak, you know, some of the issues they cover. Yeah. It got me so shocked.
Yes, that's there too.
They were going deep. I was like, whoa. They don't teach that in school.
No, no, they don't. But we need to know.
Exactly. We need to know. And I like that because it takes a lot of courage. And also you embrace your femininity, your womanhood, your manhood, you know. It is wonderful, you know. Nobody's there to judge you at all.
No, not at all.
You can be yourself.
Yeah,
and you can absolutely be yourself.
The one thing I really enjoy about it is there's no competition. So you're just there to express and share the love.
Yes. Are there any final words you'd like to share with our audience?
Just be you authentically. Stand for what you believe in. Know that you don't have to be tied to your past, and use those lessons as blessings and make an impact on the world, because we need more love.
Amen to that. We sure do. We sure do. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. It's great. It's been great having you. And thank you for tuning in on the Eunice Malath Show. Join us next week.
If you believe, you can achieve.